All right, while we're waiting for Tiffany here, this is smaller, but I just wanted to show it to you. This everything now is on the screen. Everything for this routine is on the screen. So again, to go over it one more time, all right, this is our parts charges. So we're trying to do this stuff. This can fail. If the try fails, right now we're going to come down and do this. That's the only thing that I'm alluding to. All right. So we've got a string. This string is just going to hold our what's in the text box. In fact, I didn't even have to set it equal to double quote, double quote. I could have combined these lines and just said string temp equals text box parts.text. We could have done that too. This, again, is attempting to take whatever we put into the parts text box and it's attempting to parse it into a double. If we cannot do it, throw a format exception. And in that format exception, we'll just let the user know that they goofed up and that we're taking over and we're going to set that box to 0. All right. Now, two things before we go. If you all look at this. Brady mentioned to me during the break, we went and ran the program. There are a couple things in there. There's some duplicative code. So if you go back up to, at least on mine, it's around line 150. If you go back up to the button calculate routine, for right now, just comment out these two lines. Otherwise, you're going to be adding totals in there twice, or 3 times. All right. We don't really even need these routines, so you could remove them. But for now, just comment out those two lines. Comment out the call to other charges, and comment out the call to subtotal charges. Just comment both those lines out. Otherwise, again, your totals will not be correct. All right? You take it that everybody could do that. Again, as I said, I would suggest then that you take this whole routine, starting from the try and ending with the finally, that you take all of that, copy it to the clipboard, and then paste it in here. Because the one for labor is identical, except all we have to do is really make some changes, change parts to labor. There's a couple other things, but there's not really many changes that you have to make. So either do that copy and paste or start typing. This is a little more complex because once we've got a number in there, we've got to multiply that number by 55 because that's our rate per hour for labor. Well, she also wrote on my review that I should be using the podium. The only way that I can use the podium is if I take the laptop and put it on the podium. I don't know exactly what that's going to buy me, but if that's what she wants. She did say you should have students go in there and key this stuff in, and they should try to answer questions that the class has, and I should just help if they can't figure it out. Well, see, I don't know if you know this or not. Before she had the job she has, Paul next door, maybe you've seen him. He's a bigger guy with a beard. He teaches over there. Shannon was Paul. She taught in that area. And it's much easier, I think, in that area to show somebody how to do something and then have them demo it to the class than it is for me to write a program, have you go through it, and then have you guys say, okay, now you write this program, it's not the same thing, and show it in front of the class. I don't think that they're very equal, but that's just me. Maybe she totally disagrees with me. That's fine. Well, what's funny is and I gotta watch what I'm saying. I'm taping it, and this is not a criticism. It really and truly isn't. But the way it seems, Evan gives a lot more homework than I do, and I mean a lot more homework than I do. He basically assigns everything at the end of every chapter, everything. Okay, and first of all, I don't know how he can grade all that. And second of all, I don't know, to me, that's expecting a lot of you guys, especially if you've got family obligations and or work obligations and anything else. All right, but I think if she even knew how much work you were doing, regardless of that, then she'd be like, wow, how do you get all that stuff done? Well, this is about the only way is to kind of slam it down your throats. And like Ethan just said, if I had you up here demoing, that maybe would be a good and that you might learn a little more, but we wouldn't get through everything that we're getting through. If she says she wants that done, I'm going to have to do it. I won't have any choice. All right. No, I didn't explain anything. She just sent me that this morning. No, but what happens is in 2018, a thing that's called the Higher Learning Commission is going to be coming into the campus here, and they're going to go through everything. They make sure that, for instance, if I had lied about my credentials, and somehow it had gotten through, I have to prove that I know this. They'll probably come in and talk to students, etc. But what's happened over time is, and when I say this, I'm not, it might sound like I'm not trying to be critical of you. I'm not. But the quality of students over the years has kind of gone down. And the reason for that is the students who are coming in out of high school, they're coddled too much. They really and truly are. Maybe you've heard me tell that story, but it's true. When I had a student say to me they were failing, and I told them they were failing, and they didn't believe it. And they just told me that they should get credit. They called it ass time. And they said they went through high school and they never did any homework and got all C's and B's. I said, never? No, I never did anything. After a while, I kind of thought the instructors just wanted to get me the heck out of there, so they would pass me. You can't do that here. How could we do that and then send you out into the field? The reputation of this school would get shot immediately. All right. Does everybody have all of this stuff in there? Because all that's left then is the finally. And again, this routine, don't even put any code in there. The one that's in blue, don't put the code in. That's the one one of the ones I told you to comment out. So you can just leave that out of there. Or you can just remove it if you want. Either way. Back there. Now I think Brady's happier. All right? I'm happier. All right. Ideally, we can finish this by 10 o'clock, and then the rest of the period will be yours for lab time. I'm going to have to write some kind of a spec for Chapter 12, what I want you to do for homework. I did one for 11, and I sent it to all of you, so you should have gotten it the other day. And I'll do another one for 12, and I'll try to send that out by the end of the day today. All right? A couple people still have not turned in the homework for Chapters 9 and 10. If you're going to, turn it in right away. All right? the taxable total and the final total become pretty easy. Okay? Kind of like just if you were at the grocery store, the same kind of an idea. Everybody has the finally done, right? That part that's in blue. I'm going to move up then. I hope you all got that done. All right, let's move up to here then. This is the display bill routine. Looks very similar to stuff we've done before, but now we're adding it to the list box. Do you have this? Do you have all that stuff in there? Yeah. Okay, then I'll just move up to the top here. Again, this is the only one that'll have the else if because it's the radio buttons. The rest will just be straight if statements. Bless you. Maybe what I should do is when you all get your portfolios updated, I should have her come in and have each one of you present your portfolios. She'd probably like that. What's that? I didn't hear you. Yeah. That's a little sarcastic or not? Then when we get done, I'm gonna make Brady read. Please read the next 3 pages aloud for the class. Just so you know, when those of you who will be here on Friday for when we have the Lewis and Clark, I'm gonna go through this really slow, and they're probably very bright kids, but what the guy told me is they have no experience using Visual Studio, and they have no experience using C#. So if that's all we get done in the 3.5 hours, that's fine. All right, I'd at least show them the website, and I'm trying to get Charles is supposed to be bringing me back a bunch of flash drives with Rankin on them, so I can put everything that we're going to do on a Rankin flash drive and give them each a copy. Um, what the reason that they were running so badly is when they log out, unless they tell it not to, every day that Ryan, the teacher who comes in here after me, when he has them log out, they log out, it automatically goes into maintenance mode. That's why they were so slow. What he will do on Thursday is he will have them log out the other way, so they'll be in non-maintenance mode. And then what I'm going to do is when I come in here on Friday, I'm going to turn every one of, make sure they're all on, and I'm going to um, try to get into the system for each one, and just see if it works. And it should come up, according to him at least, it should come up right away. Does everybody have this first one done? Yes? No? Then I'll move up. Do you understand what we're doing in here? We're adding the information to the list box directly. That's the big box down at the bottom where we're putting in the bill. Everyone has that one finished, correct? Everyone has these done? Okay. In the past, when I have taught SQL, and I'm not just saying this, that's been the people's favorite part of the whole program. Because it's the thing that they go like, that just makes sense. So, you'll have to decide, make your own decision, but I'm just telling you that by and large, people seem to really like that. Does everybody have all that? If you don't, you just have to say something. That's fine. All right, I'm gonna go down to the clear stuff then. Where was that? Button clear. Do you have this stuff? Okay, then I'll move down. I don't know why I have a routine called clear all that only calls one of these. I have no clue. But I just did. That's why I said if I'd have written it last night, then I would have come in here this morning and tried to fix it up, but that's okay. Yes, it could have been, that clear oil lube should have been put in up above. So everybody hear that? This thing right here that says clear oil lube, all right, that actually should be here instead of clear all. So this should say right here, this one should say clear oil lube. Because if you do that, then you don't even need this routine here. So make those changes, please. You should all know this because you'd immediately get a message. But if you left this as clear all, so if you left that line in there, but you remove that routine, you're going to get an error message because then you're calling a routine that doesn't exist. Right? So a little. And I didn't have to tab those out. I just wanted you to see what was going on in each one of them. That's all. Moved it up a little bit here. Again, in all these clear routines, we're just making sure that the radio button isn't selected or the checkbox is not selected. total 0. Parts total. I'm just going to stick them all equal to 0. What the part total? Forget it. We'll look at it in just a second. Really, I guess that subtotal, it doesn't matter where you clear it, but that subtotal, since I'm clearing the other totals here, I probably should have cleared the subtotal here too. You know, it doesn't really matter. It works fine either way. But you know, you should always strive for consistency, so. Which means I don't need it here. Yeah, that clear all, that's what Ethan just asked about. I think we're going to take it out. I wait till we get down there in just a second. When you take your test, your hands-on test, what I will do is I will have literally the equivalent of a screenshot like what you see here. And I'm going to say, build this, put all this in there, and make it work. You have 4 hours. If you want, I can give you Evan's test. He gave him an hour and a half. He made them actually go online and research how to call different exceptions. Then you had to write code that did that. What's that? Well, I heard yours, but I didn't hear what she yours. Maybe. You know, everybody's different in the way they teach. So. I think I left the code in there for the exit button. All right. So, oh yeah, this thing clear all, yes, you don't need that. You're right. You're gonna get an error message. So you can just leave the line and leave that in there, but don't have anything. All right. It would be nice to make sure that you're cleared. Do we have a thing that's called, what is our clear routine called now? Yeah, see, it's from the button clear, so really I should have probably taken those and put them in that should have been what's in clear all. Everybody hear that? That would have been better, because you also want to be able to you might want to clear it from your menu option too. So what I really should have done is taken all of these that are right here, put those into their own routine that said public, that's what should have been in clear all, void, clear all, and then put all those in there. All right, whoops, Z. So I would call clear all. There goes my machine's going nuts again. So all this has to do is call clear all. All right, that is a much cleaner way of doing it. Then you can leave that call to clear all in at the bottom. Does that make sense? You know, it's funny, sometimes when I screw up, it's actually a good thing because it allows me to go and explain something that may or may not have made sense otherwise. I don't know. So the clear button should just call clear all. Clear all should call the routines. Then down at the bottom, we can put back in that call to clear all. That's just making sure you're starting with a clean slate, so to speak, when you start. All right. And last thing is, if you look up on the screen here, again, earlier I'd mentioned, and I do appreciate it when people call me out on this, when Brady found this, we really didn't need those calls to other charges or to subtotal charges. So those should be commented out, and technically, you should find that code that's below it, and you should remove it. All right? It won't hurt anything because the calls are commented out, but you shouldn't have superfluous code that's in there that's not being used, because all it's going to do is just confuse people. All right? So then that can be removed, and that can be removed. And ideally, what you're noticing here, is that we have a lot of stuff in here that's just calling other stuff. That's the way most code is written. All right? I'm not saying that's the way most code is written. Do you like that? Because that's just the way that it is. And when you write totally object-oriented code, it's much more like that. Right? Now, we've cut it down. There, believe it or not, there were 593 lines in it. Now I've got 475. So there was a lot of extra code, bloat code, that was in there. Please look up on the screen if you would, though. I'm going to write this out to you, but I want you to understand. What I'm going to expect are a few things. First of all, that it works. Okay? Second of all, that if you put a negative value in here, if you put a negative value in there, that the program doesn't accept it. So not only, you know, in that try block where you're checking for those, for that being, whether you can parse it or not, after you parse it, you'll have to say if that number that you just parsed, if that value is less than 0, you're going to have to throw a different kind of exception. You are writing that exception. Now, in your book, in chapter 11, they had a great example on 525 and 526. 526 has got something that's called negative balance exception. What's that? What is what? Typically, when you get that, what it means is, and I'm not saying you did this, but usually when you get that error, you've removed some kind of a component on your screen, and I don't mean code, you've removed some component on your screen that has already been written to an external file. And now it's looking for that component and it can't find it. You might be able to do a bunch of Control Z's to get back to where it was before, all right, and clean it up that way. I don't know, because I'm not sure exactly what you did. So again, you're going to have to go and write your own, and you'll be able to use the same exception for both of these. So you're going to have to write your own exception if either one of those are negative. Plus, if you look up on the screen, I want you to do what I didn't do, and that is, I want this build to look fairly professional. Right now, it looks fairly crappy. Okay. Okay. Mine might have had load in it. If you go back far enough, because you're going back off what I put in, and I originally put that in load, but then I moved it to activated. So that could be what it is. All right. So I'll want you to put in that exception, and I'll want you to clean this up. Now, you can take any liberties you want in here. And what I mean is, if you hate the colors, if you don't like where stuff is placed, you can change that. All right? The other thing that I want you to do, so that's two things. Everybody hear those? I want you to write your own exception that'll handle negative values for each one of these. I want you to clean up the actual bill as far as the way it looks. Finally, I threw all this in at the end and none of it works. So I want you to come up with, if you want, you could change the names because, for example, this one right now is called Oil Lube Tool Strip Menu Item. If you just want to, change that to something like Oil Lube Menu or Oil Lube Menu Item, that's fine. If you want to leave it the way it is, it's fine. But all you're going to have to do, so let's say I came in here and I changed the name of this. All right? And I changed this and I just called it Oil. In fact, that's got stuff under it. So I'm just going to call it Oil Lube Menu. And there's no code that I'm putting there. All right? But now for oil change, I'm just going to change this one to Oil Change Menu Item. And then all I have to do is double click on it, and then I have to call my oil change routine. That's it. Most of the changes, other than writing your own exception, you should be able to do within an hour or two. All right? I'm going to look at the problems at the end of the chapter, and I'm going to assign one other problem. And that'll be it for chapter 12. You should have plenty of time because you've got 2 hours today, and you'll have at least 2 hours tomorrow. All right. Tomorrow you're going to take the hands-on test for chapter 12 when we start, and the rest of the period will be lab. All right. Thursday will be lab the entire period. So you should be able to, if you're behind. Again, my goal for you is next week to not do a flaming thing for this class, other than if you want to read chapters 13 or 14, page through them, you could do that. But I just want everybody to be caught up, because your break is supposed to be just that. Unless you're me. I get to go home and clean my house out. All right? That's going to be a blast. No. But I have to go to my house that I have in Illinois. My wife said, "Oh, don't worry, I've saved everything for you." That's virtually all of it there. I don't know if that's too small that you can't read it or not, but that's pretty much everything. It's not working, or you're getting an error when you run it. Well, then if it's not giving anything for labor, it's not in there. It's in your display. Play computer, and where it's supposed to be displaying, you must not have that line in there, or it's in there incorrect or something. I don't know. Regardless of what you put in there? All right. Well, then you want to make sure that you've got in your try statement, you want to make sure you've got the labor cost set, and you want to make sure you've got it set in your catch also. And you want to make sure this one is actually doing the math. That statement in blue, if you're not doing that, it's going to be 0. All right, I'm going to stop taping. That's the rest. That's all I had for today. Again, you've already gotten, I sent this to you previously. The internet's getting funky again. Are any of you on the internet right now? I'm trying to. There it went on. Okay. I don't know what it is. It's not showing anything. You know, there's no action or anything around here. No, there was nothing there. Right there. Because I always thought when it just showed that, that was just where I am. Well, I also get this thing here that so don't start a fire. Yeah, sunny with a high of 59. Windy, gusts up to 28 miles an hour, but that's all it says here. And the current conditions, 46 and cloudy. You know, it's